I enjoy Watch Dogs. The first Watch Dogs game came out in 2014. Regardless of the misleading trailer and gameplay, it was actually a good game, and the story felt like a drama. Aiden Pierce loses his niece in an accident, a tragic consequence of a hit that was intended for him. He couldn't let that go. The game is set in Chicago in a modern setting, but also takes a step into the future with how interconnected the city's networks are. The highlight of the game was the hacking aspect, which ranged from changing traffic lights to hacking phones. I won't go into spoilers because that warrants its own video. It was the perfect introduction to the series, and I highly recommend you playing it if you haven't. I fell off the series after Watch Dogs 2. Maybe eventually I'll go back and replay it, have a different perspective on it years later. Legion was a game of all time. I think the idea of choosing whoever you want to play as was nice, but the story felt everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Getting to play as a granny was probably the best part of Watch Dogs Legion. When I was browsing the manga section, I came across Watch Dogs Tokyo. I was honestly confused, thinking it was some kind of backstory manga. I looked up the writer and artist, Seiichi Shirato and Shusei Kamo, respectively. Kamo didn't have many works, and one of his major projects was working on a Gangsta Cursed EP project. Nevertheless, he has a good art style. Going panel to panel felt smooth as butter. The character style is perfect for this gritty atmosphere, and the drip is immaculate, perfectly encapsulating what Watch Dogs would look like in manga form. I think the city atmosphere feels very dystopian, giving citizens the impression that they're under constant surveillance. The writer, Shirato, didn't have many major projects either, but I saw he had a hand in working on the video game Judgment, a spin-out from the Like a Dragon series. If you haven't tried these games, I highly recommend them, and any game from the RGG Studio library. I can see how that aspect was added into this manga. The story starts with a dual protagonist structure. We first meet Goda, who is a detective by day and helping DedSec by night. As we learn through his backstory, he tries to solve a case on his own because the police department accepts the first culprit, even with the JCTOS technology available. He infiltrates a factory that seems abandoned but actually has a security guard. As he follows the van, he asks about the van at the scene, but the guard pulls out a gun. He is then saved by the other protagonist, Stainless Steel Bat, who was also investigating the warehouse but got caught up due to Goda's meddling. The ensuing scene is a car chase with the two trying to escape. What an amazing action shot in this manga. If this is what the next game is going to be based off, then I hope they don't fumble it. It feels more like Cyberpunk, but with a bit of Judgment. The dual perspective of a cop and vigilante is interesting sometimes. Action needs to be taken into one's own hands. It reminds me of Sleeping Dogs. I hope he keeps the back and forth police side of things going. Goda seems like a serious but stoic protagonist who wants things to get done, whereas Bat is the more unhinged and aggressive of the two. Yet she's not entirely reckless like Goda. There is a balance. The pacing of the story is a bit tricky to pick up and read. It reminds me of the first Watch Dogs game, where the player is immediately thrown into the conflict, and it may take a while to get used to. I believe it was a taste of what's to come and leaves room to explore the world and the ultimate villain, leaving trails that mention corruption within and the Yakuza's involvement. Bat isn't entirely doing things to benefit herself, but for the team overall. She's very anti-established and wanting to send a message or flip someone off when possible. We haven't seen much of her backstory, but I'm sure they'll expand on the surface level details of the character. I also enjoy the perspective of an older protagonist rather than seeing another high schooler. It helps make things more relatable to us as readers. I would honestly recommend this to a fan of Watch Dogs. If that initial explanation of the game was intriguing, I would say you can read it without any prior knowledge. This review is only based on the first volume, so my score and overall enjoyment would change with more volumes. I give it a solid 7 out of 10.